My entitled family have found a way to completely ruin my birthday for quite literally the 5th year in a row. And even though my birthday is so close to Christmas, and I've dealt with this for so many years, I finally have decided to put my foot down and say that I want a separate celebration, resulting in some of the most petty and passive-aggressive treatment I've ever received in my life. Here's what happened. Okay, so my birthday is December 28th, and my parents have consistently ignored it throughout my entire life. We usually visit family that lives about 4 hours away during the holidays, or more often than not, the weekend after the holidays if the holiday is in the middle of the week. This means almost every year, we're up there on the 28th. Sometimes it's not so bad, because maybe the 28th is on a Friday or a Sunday, and we do the Christmas celebration on Saturday. But even then, it still goes completely uncelebrated, and I'm lucky to even get a happy birthday from them. I've expressed my dislike of this subtlety throughout my entire life, but not as directly as I should have until now. And even now, I'm still not sure what to say. And the thing is, they did the same thing at my wedding. We announced our engagement, and my sister decided to get engaged and announced hers right after us, and hold the ceremony in the same year, just slightly after what we would be doing. Some of my family came in from across the country for her wedding, but not for mine. I have a sister who was born in early January and pretends to relate, but as far as I can remember, we've never had to celebrate the birth of what many people consider to be the Lord and Savior on the same day as when we celebrate her birthday. Mine, on the other hand, is usually a crapshoot on if I'm going to have a birthday or not, because here's how it usually plays out. We go visit my family the first weekend after Christmas. We stay at their house with my entire family, and this is a big house with many rooms as we do have a big family. The whole family is there when my birthday rolls around. We wake up, maybe one person acknowledges my birthday and even says happy birthday to begin with, and if nobody else is around, that's all I'm gonna get from anybody all day. If others are around and hear them say that, they will throw out a half-hearted, "Oh hey, happy birthday," and then move on to talk about Christmas dinner, when we're gonna open Christmas presents, how excited we are to watch the two kids open a mountain of gifts, etc. My birthday having yet again effectively been overshadowed by that long-haired stranger from 2,000 years ago that nobody has ever met. Now, I know I sound bitter and probably selfish, but if you knew anything about me, you would know that things like this don't usually bother me. For my entire life, my birthday has been smashed together with Christmas. So many celebrations, or lack thereof, have passed by without fazing me. Many gifts have been forgotten. Or worse, they would do a, "Oh, here's your Christmas present and also your birthday present." Also, many well wishes have gone, well, completely unwished. Again, this stuff used to not faze me at all, because I really was happy with just a simple happy birthday, and that's all I would ever want, and it would make up for anything else. But this year, my parents have almost purposefully gone out of their way to ruin everything for me. Now, if you don't know, Christmas this year is on a Wednesday, making the 28th on a Saturday. It's rare that my birthday's on a Saturday, but it happened like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was awful, specifically because Saturday is always the chosen delayed Christmas day. My entire family was there. My wife wished me happy birthday, my parents did, I think maybe my sister did, and that was it. The entire rest of the day, my birthday was just Christmas to everyone but my wife, who went out of her way any way that she could to try and make me feel special. She asked why I wasn't really that upset about it until now, and I said I guess I was just used to it my whole life. But now that it's literally my family's Christmas day on my birthday, which happens every now and then, I was pretty disheartened. Watching a couple of entitled, somewhat spoiled brats who already have everything in the world open up a mountain of gifts on your birthday would probably hurt your feelings as well. So, knowing that the 28th was a Saturday this year, I told my mom when we were doing the family holiday planning if she could please try and schedule our trip to the family the weekend after Christmas or even after my birthday. That way we would be doing Christmas on like New Year's or something like that. She said sure, and I said it doesn't matter what day, just not the Saturday after Christmas. Any day but my birthday. My wife even chimed in and said that I haven't had a birthday in over 5 years. Please don't plan it for his birthday again. And my mom just pretended to care and said, okay, I'll try my best. Well, she then calls a few days ago and said my sister can only get her stepson the weekend after Christmas. So we will probably break it up, and they will likely go up on the 28th and we'll go on the following weekend. And I'm thinking to myself, fine, my entire family won't be there for Christmas, but hey, I get to see my sister all the time. This is not that big of a deal. At least I can have actual Christmas with my parents, celebrate my birthday with my wife, then go see my family the following weekend for delayed Christmas, right? But unfortunately, I was completely wrong. Today, I was in the neighborhood, so I stopped at my parents' house. We got to talking, and my mom brought up our Christmas plans. She said to me, hey, since we are breaking it up, we're probably only going to go up once instead of both times. Is is that okay? Now, not knowing what she was getting at, I said to her, sure, and then I said, okay, well, why would that be an issue? She then said to me, okay, since your sister has her stepson on the 28th, we'll probably go up with her then as well. Already, I was a little disheartened because somehow she found a way to do the near exact opposite of what I had asked and how we had organized the family Christmas to be on the 28th. But I didn't know the extent of it. She said she wanted to go up only the one time, and she chose that one time to be with my sister, and goes on to tell me that that's when my uncles, my aunts, my niece and nephew, and pretty much the entire family will be there. Right then, flashbacks to my wedding silently play in my head. So, quite literally, the one thing I asked for Christmas was to be able to have a birthday of some kind, and she does the exact opposite and finds a way to make my entire family forget about my birthday once again. I'll be lucky if I even get a text message from any of them, since they'll all be up there together without my wife and I, and we usually disregard our phones when we're up there. I know this sounds bratty or even self-absorbed, but you have to understand, I have been dealing with this crap my entire life and barely said a word to anybody. She then asked me what I want in my food, and I say no dairy because it sets my wife's stomach on fire. But then she proceeds to put dairy in everything and scold me for not being grateful. She asked one year what kind of coat I wanted, and I said any classic button-up pea coat. It doesn't matter, just one that doesn't have a zipper. Well, she goes out of her way to get me a coat with a zipper so she can see if I'll be thankful enough. It's like my entire life she has purposefully done these small things and just slightly messed up because she wants to. And I'm not sure, but it seems like she wants to test my gratitude or something like that. My wife describes it best when she says, well, your mom knows exactly what she's doing when she just completely disregards your wishes. And it's always just small enough so that you look like a jerk if you say anything about it, but also big enough to let you know that she doesn't respect your wishes, even after you were directly clear about them. So now this will be something like the 5th birthday in a row that will be ignored. It will be completely overshadowed by Christmas, except this time I won't even be with my family because I made a promise to myself, and I'm not gonna let them rope me into the lie of saying, oh, just go up on your birthday, it'll be great. Because you know what, at least I'll be with my wife. And even though we have a contributed total of maybe $50 to our name, she has promised to make my 34th birthday very special, considering that my 29th through 33rd were completely ignored, and all the ones before that were at the very least uncelebrated. So truly, I believe her. As long as she says happy birthday, and I know she will, and as long as I get to wake up next to her, it will probably be the best birthday I've ever had since the pandemic. I love that woman with all of my heart. And for anyone who would say that 34 is too old to care about your birthday, you can just forget it. You are special no matter what your age, and the day you were born into this world is very, very important. To you Christmas babies out there, though I can never truly relate, please know that you are not alone, as my family makes a habit of delaying Christmas to my birthday. So say a prayer or something like that to that hippie who was supposed to bring about world peace or whatever, and then spend the rest of the day focusing on yourself, because trust me, you absolutely deserve it. Wow, your mom is super passive aggressive and incredibly petty. She literally went out of her way to ruin your birthday once again. Like, this really is so awful because she knew what she was doing. Like, your wife is 100% correct. She's doing it just enough to like piss you off, but also so little that if you do freak out about it, you're gonna look like the jerk and she's gonna look like the victim. Like, this is all pure manipulation in my mind, and that's all this will ever be. So the fact that she can't even follow this one wish that you had, that you just wanted to have a birthday of your own, in my opinion says everything you need to know about her, because you know for a fact now, without any kind of shadow of a doubt, that she's not going to respect your wishes. She's done this many times, and it sounds like your family has slighted you over and over again. So hopefully you stick to your values and you say, no, I'm not showing up, because the way your family is treating you and your birthday, in my opinion, is super dismissive and incredibly disrespectful. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My entitled grandma keeps failing her children and then ends up suing one of her daughters after her daughter denies her the right at seeing her grandkids. And I'm honestly still blown away by this situation because my grandmother truly is a terrible person. Here's what happened. Okay, so here's some clarification that you need to know to understand the whole story just a bit better. My wife has a half-sister. My maternal grandmother had my mom with her first husband. This was all not planned, but fast forward 8 years later and she cheated on him with a family friend, and then my aunt was born. Now, besides my grandma being an absolutely naive person, her now husband, who is the father of my aunt, is also an absolute jerk because he knows how to perfectly manipulate her. And trust me, there are so many stories I could tell about them, it is absolutely insane. But let's just focus on this one first. This all happened in the middle of 2005. I was only 6 years old back then, so I don't know all the details, but I do know enough to tell this story. I have an older sister by 2 years and a younger brother who was born 5 years and 9 months after me. Just when my brother was born, my mom, of course, had a lot going on with 3 kids. Well, my grandmother demanded my mom to drive me and my sister over to her, which, by the way, this is a 2-hour drive one way. And this is all so she can hang out with us for a weekend. Mind you, she was not working, she was living off her husband's money, all while my mom had 3 children and quite a big house to take care of. My mother told my grandma that she could absolutely pick us up, but my mom cannot drive 4 hours in total with my little brother, since she definitely would have to take him with her, especially when driving my sister and me over there. Now, she could either do that, or she could of course also come visit us over the weekend. Well, my grandma refused, and that's when the nightmare began. She didn't understand why my mom wanted to drive a total of 8 hours, 4 hours to bring us and 4 hours to pick us up. My parents then cut off contact with her after that because she also did many other harmful things to my mom's mental health. But trust me, that's another story for another time. Anyways, many years later, my mom and grandma talked it out and we had contact with her once again. And this was just for a little bit, and honestly, it was good that she lives quite far away from us. Being with her and her husband for 1 week was an absolute nightmare when I was 17, and I very much regretted this stay. When contact came back, my grandmother often whined about how horrible it was for her to not see us for a few years, and she very much regrets this time. Well, fast forward to 2017, which is 5 years since my mom and grandma talked things out, and I just finished up high school, and my maternal grandfather was very sick. He was suffering from cancer. It was then that my grandmother asked my mom if she could tell him that my mom's sister was not his daughter. And yes, this is exactly as bad as you think it is. She kept all of that a secret for maybe, 40 years? And she took a lot of money from my grandfather to support his supposed daughter. You know, the daughter that isn't even his. Well, my mom and my aunt both said that would be very selfish for her to do, especially when he's right at the edge of passing away. She agreed and told them both that she would keep it a secret. Well, a few days later, my mother enters my grandpa's house and he confronts her with a letter he had gotten from my grandma, his ex-wife, about my aunt not being his daughter. Apparently, he always suspected this, but did not try to confirm anything. Now, he gladly was not mad at my mom for never telling him, because he knows that she was just manipulated by her mother to not tell anyone. Not even me and my siblings knew about this before this letter, because my mom didn't want us kids to accidentally tell grandpa. And sadly enough, he ended up passing away a few weeks after this letter. Now, of course, my mom and aunt were super pissed off at her, but my grandma did not see her mistake. So my aunt also decided to cut ties with her this time, which is something my mom also did, of course, with me and my siblings blocking her on social media and deciding to block her phone number. And as you can probably guess, she also started a fight with my aunt now. My aunt has 2 daughters who were about the same age as my siblings and me when my mom and grandma had their first cutoff. And my grandmother absolutely did not want to lose these 2 like she did with my siblings and me. I mean, we don't really have a connection to her, obviously, since we didn't see her for years, and then also only for a few short times. My aunt said that she does not want her to be in contact with the children right now, and believe it or not, my grandma actually freaking sued her for taking away her grandchildren. And it's like, excuse me? You didn't help raise them, and also you live 1 hour away from them. Why in the world do you think you have the right to see them if their parents decide that you're not good for them? Sadly, the judge also was a grandmother of a child and had some kind of compassion for my grandma, so she gave her all the help that she could. So basically, as a result, my cousins had to write her letters once a month, and they weren't even close to being able to write yet. So of course, my aunt wrote those letters. And trust me, this is just the tip of the iceberg with my grandmother, because she has caused nothing but problems in my family. Yeah, your grandma sounds like an instigator and honestly, not a good person. Who in their right mind would sue a family member to see their grandkids, especially when the parents are like, yeah, you're not good for my family? Like, that is ridiculous, and there's honestly no precedent for that. I just can't believe that a judge actually would fall for that and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna help you out. So truly, I really hope you don't have to deal with your grandma for very long, because the way she's acting, in my opinion, is completely insane. Am I the jerk for not wanting to show up for my mom's husband's family after they spent years making fun of my biological father? Here's what happened. I'm a 16-year-old female, and my mom has been married to her husband for 7 years, and my dad has been out of my life for almost as many years. But even after my mom and Ted got married, he wasn't a big part of my life. Ted is not his real name. You see, my dad is mentally ill. There's a family history of it on his side of the family, and he's got it bad and isn't capable of being a good dad or really a reliable person. Last I remember of him, he couldn't really take care of himself. But, and this is a big thing, I still love him, and I have some good memories of him. Ted, as a stepfather, and I will be calling him my mom's husband, is really deserving of more or less depending on your view overall. He provides for me, he calls me his daughter, he tries to spend time with me, offer to adopt me, and provide for me well into the future. I said no to the adoption and didn't really let the incentive of being provided for long-term sway me. My reason for this is due to how often he talks garbage about my dad, and my mom lets him, so I have issues with her as well. But the focus of my post is more about Ted and his extended family. Ted is always so fast to remind me that my dad chose illness over me, that he has never paid child support and has a lot of child support debt to his name. He discouraged me looking at photos of my dad or his side of the family and would tell me that he was a better choice for a dad and his family were a way better family overall. Ted's family also repeat this to me a lot. I mean, I get reminded every time I see them that Ted stuck around, Ted stepped up, and that Ted isn't some crazy waste of life, which is what they call my dad. Well, last year it was very clear that I had inherited the mental illness gene. My mental illness is OCD, and I've got it really bad because of it. A part of me always knew that I was different. I mean, I had strict rules for stuff most people didn't think twice about, like making my bed, writing, bathing, or showering, and I also freaked out a lot if I couldn't make things fit into my school binder, or if I couldn't fit my books or video games on my shelf. My mom and Ted saw it too, but my mom didn't want to believe that I could be ill, and Ted actually believed that his influence could prevent this. A crisis at the start of the year proved it all wrong, and I finally got diagnosed. I even spent some time being an inpatient because of how bad it got. When I got home and Ted was alone with me, or me and my half-siblings, I would hear his family talk about me in ways that made me so uncomfortable. They actually said that rejecting him made me sick because it pushed me more towards my dad than Ted. Ted's parents wanted to have a big family dinner yesterday, and I was told repeatedly that they wanted me there. And I was told by them directly and by Ted and my mom. But you know what? I chose not to go. And I said that I could not get off my planner right now, which is completely true. But I just knew I couldn't be around them. My mom and Ted weren't happy, and they said that I had no trouble going off my planner to see my grandparents or my 3 uncles and cousins. They then told me that I was being totally unfair to Ted's family by not showing up and treating them like they're not family. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Okay, for starters, you're definitely not the jerk for not wanting to show up for this stupid side of your family, because the second Ted actually said that your dad chose illness was the very moment that I realized that Ted and his family are a bunch of narcissistic weirdos. Nobody chooses a legitimate mental illness, and I'm not talking about people who like make up a mental illness just to look for attention. I'm talking about people who actually have some struggles that they cannot deal with. People who have lifelong problems that just completely derail their entire life without some kind of like medical intervention. Those types of mental illnesses. Like seriously, why would anybody in their life choose that? So the fact that your stepfather thinks that's a choice and that your dad decided to be that way is just insane in my opinion. So no, that side of your family is awful. They are incredibly toxic, and I know if I was in your shoes, I would definitely be distancing myself from them. Am I the jerk for saying that I'm gonna sue both the school and the family of my daughter's bully after my daughter's been bullied nonstop while at school? Here's what happened. Okay, so my husband and I have an 11-year-old daughter who's been going through some severe bullying at school, and it just keeps getting worse. It started off with just name calling, but has gotten worse over the past couple of weeks. For context, she is adopted, which is something we've always been open about and celebrated as part of her story. But recently, some kids found out about her adoption and started saying horrible things, telling her stuff like her birth mother didn't want her. They tell her that she's unwanted and that she is a reject, which is not the case. Her mother loved her very much, to the point that she literally gave her life so that we could have her. Now, if this wasn't bad enough, a few days ago, she came home in tears with her hair butchered. They had apparently cut off 2 inches of her ponytail while in class, and they were all taunting her with names and laughing at her reaction. They will then follow her through the halls to make fun of her on a regular basis. Both my husband and myself have been in touch with the school about the bullying more times than I can count. I emailed, I called them, I even showed up in person to speak with teachers and the principal, but all I got were empty promises that they would look into it. Nothing changed, and my daughter's mental health has taken a hit. She's anxious, she's struggling to sleep, and now she begs us not to send her to school. Finally, out of frustration and feeling like no one was taking this seriously, eventually, we reached out to a lawyer to explore legal actions against both the school and the bully's family. And funny enough, only when the school and her parents learned that we were considering a legal action did they finally start to act. Suddenly, the school calls me to say they're moving the bully out of my daughter's class and claimed they had a talk with her. The girl's parents also reached out, saying that they had a talk with their daughter and they promised it would stop. But honestly, I don't believe them. It feels like they're saying this just to get me to back off and avoid the legal consequences. I worry that once the dust settles, things will go right back to how they were, and my daughter will still be dealing with all of this. My family thinks that I should give the school and the parents a chance, especially now that they're finally taking action. But I feel that all of this is just for show. So am I the jerk for moving forward with legal action, even though the school and the bully's parents now claim that they're handling it? Okay, in my opinion, I don't think you're the jerk at all. As someone who got bullied a lot in like elementary school and middle school, I have a lot of sympathy for your daughter and for you as a family. Because in most cases, at least in my situation, the bully was never punished properly, and this stuff absolutely kept happening. Because you're right, once the dust settles, it's just gonna happen again. So no, you're not the jerk if you did want to move forward by suing these people, because the way they treated your daughter, in my opinion, was completely unacceptable. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.